In the following video, we're going to examine the concept of multiplying matrices. Now, this video is going to focus primarily on the question of when can we multiply matrices. Now, in order to multiply matrices, unlike addition and subtraction, the dimensions don't have to be the same. When you multiply matrices, the columns of the first matrix have to be the same as the dimensions of the rows of the second matrix. And so to show this, we have the two examples of when it's possible to multiply matrices and when it's not possible. And so when you're multiplying matrices, the columns, now remember when you state the dimensions, your first number is your rows and the second number is the columns. And so what this says is the columns of the first matrix needs to match the rows of the second matrix. And so my row here is 2 rows and 3 columns. And so the columns of the first matrix need to match the rows of the second matrix. And so here we see the columns and the rows do match, so therefore this is possible to multiply. If I were to take a look at the next example, my rows are 2 for the first, my columns are 3. For the second one, my rows are 2 and my columns are 2. The columns of the first matrix is 3, while the second matrix has 2 rows. And so, 3 and 2 are not the same. And so this is not possible. So the trick of when to determine if two matrices are able to be multiplied is see if the inside numbers, when you write down the dimensions of your matrices, see if the inside numbers are the same. If they're the same, it's possible to multiply. If they're different, then it's not possible to multiply. So let's take this concept and just let's look and see, can we multiply these matrices? And so in the first one, I'm not telling you what matrix A is or what matrix B is. I'm just telling you the dimensions. And so I see a 4 by 6 matrix, a 6 by 2 matrix. The insides match. The columns of the first match the rows of the second. So this is possible. If I look at the second one, I have a 3 by 2 matrix and a 3 by 2 matrix. I mean, here, the dimensions are the same, but when you're dealing with multiplication, that doesn't mean you can multiply them. When you multiply, the column of the first matrix needs to match the rows of the second matrix. And so 2 and 3 are 2 different numbers. And so this is not possible. If I look at example 3, I have a 3 by 4 matrix and a 4 by 2 matrix. The inside numbers match. The columns of the first matrix match the rows of the second matrix. And so therefore, this is possible. If I look at number 4, a 5 by 3 matrix, so 3 is my column, a 5 by 2 matrix, 5 is my row. The inside numbers do not match. The columns of the first do not match the rows of the second. And so this is not possible. Now, when you're multiplying matrices, you want to make sure first, don't go into multiplication, but make sure your dimensions of the columns in the first match the rows in the second. Make sure the inside numbers match before you start multiplying, because it's not possible if they're not the same. So now let's go one step further. If, for the ones that are possible, let's actually state the dimensions of the product. So if they are able to be multiplied, what are the dimensions of their product going to be? And so the trick to see if they're multiplied is, look at the inside numbers and see if they're the same. The trick to see what your dimensions are going to be is look at the remaining numbers. So since the insides are the same, what remains is my 4 and my 2. So the product is going to be a 4 by 2 matrix. Since my insides are the same, I can multiply them together. So my product is going to be the numbers that remain, a 3 by 2 matrix. And so to check for matrices being able to multiply, see if the inside numbers are the same. The dimensions of the product of the matrix, if they are able to be multiplied, are the remaining numbers, the numbers on the outside. So the insides determine if they can be multiplied, and if the insides match, the outsides tell you the dimensions of their product.